I'll take 50 million. If that's the case, Wilder's team is going to be 50 million up front.
Why fight somebody who's cheating, you know? If Wilder says, I insist on this, now he's... Deontay Wilder.
About to catch this plane in a few minutes, but Anthony, get over with your man Eddie and Barry Hearn and tell them to check their email. I got something special for you. By the way, all the money's in the bag.
Undefeated. Undefeated.
What up, everybody in the YTBC? Big shout out to hashtag Comeback to Boxing. A big shout out to Boxing United. A big shout out to the A-Side boxing community. And a big shout out to the MOBC. I'm going to go ahead and get right into this. Politics and business and boxing really don't enthuse me. They don't interest me. If it was up to me, we'd just do away with all that. However, the reality is, politics and business and boxing make the boxing world go round. If it wasn't for the fact that a fight being made is dependent on these two things, I would never ever talk about it. And I do my best not to. But unfortunately, that's not reality. I have to acknowledge the business and the politics, because ultimately, no matter how bad I want to see a fight, if the two fighters cannot come to terms, the fight ain't happening. It doesn't matter if it means an undisputed champion. It doesn't matter if it means that we're going to get to find out who the best truly is. It just matters if both guys are willing to sign the dotted line. If both guys can say, hey, I think these terms are fair. It's not enough just for one side to say it. It doesn't matter if one side says it and the other side, their manager, their trainer, their baby mama, their sister, their adopted son or daughter feels that if they're not signing their name on the dotted line, the fight's not happening. Now, of course, I would bring this up because of the sideshow that is the negotiations between Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder. Out of all the fights that could be made, this is the one that I would like to see made the most. And that's just because we haven't had an undisputed heavyweight champion in such a long time. And really, that's the only thing that the heavyweight division is missing right now. There's so much going on in the heavyweight division. It's become such a happening division. The only thing holding it back is that we don't have one clear defined champion. Now, you'll have a bunch of people say that Wilder is the man to beat. Now, how you would come to that conclusion is beyond me, because the only real credible name on his resume is Luis Ortiz, and that's in 40 fights. A lot of guys will tell you that it's Anthony Joshua. Now, you can make the argument for Joshua because he's beaten Klitschko, he's beaten Joseph Parker. And yeah, Charles Martin wasn't the best name, but he took it upon himself to collect the 3 belts he has one by one. I'm not going to talk about the, IBO or whatever it is. I'm not going to count that. I'm a Joshua fan, but I'm not going to blow up the IBO just to say that he has 4 belts. He has 3 of the major belts, all right? But you could also make the argument that he's not because he hasn't beaten Tyson Fury. At the end of the day, it's completely up to you. It's your opinion. I'm not here to argue with you as to who you think the man is at heavyweight, because at the end of the day, unless we have an undisputed champion, I mean, it's really all hearsay. It's all debate. It's always going to be debatable. That's why it's called undisputed, because you can't dispute the fact that that is the man to beat. I don't care if Joshua hasn't beaten Tyson Fury yet. Tyson Fury has his own problems. Now, I'm glad to hear that he's back. I'm glad to see that it looks like he has shed all that weight. Let's see how he does when he gets back in the ring. I'm not hyping the man up until he's had at least one fight. And I like Tyson Fury, but 2 years out of the ring, out of sight, out of mind, I'm ready to move on as a fan. Like I said, do something and then we'll talk. But let me go ahead and talk about what we do know. We do know that Anthony Joshua made an offer to Deontay Wilder for 8 million pounds, equaling somewhere around $12,500,000 US dollars. We also know that Deontay Wilder is not too fond of this. Now, I'm not a big fan of flat fees, and I've always said I think a professional should make no less than 35% of the purse. However, it is Deontay Wilder's fault for devaluing himself when he said that he was willing to take 10%. Now, granted, he did say that that's if Joshua was willing to take the same pay cut in the rematch should Wilder win, but at the end of the day, he still devalued himself. That's his fault. Now, to my surprise, Anthony Joshua didn't even take advantage of that, because despite what people think, this is not a $100 million fight. I think it's worth more than $100 million, but I don't believe the people value this at $100 million. If you take a look at the numbers, you can see that logically, it's just not. Because the biggest fight that Joshua's been in has been against Klitschko, and let's be real, nobody really knows the actual figures. We're all going off of things we've heard. None of us have actually seen the paychecks. None of us has actually seen the contracts. All we know is what the promoters tell us. And let's be honest, promoters are not honest people. But if we go off of what we've heard, Joshua Klitschko was between 50 mil and 70 mil. I would probably say it's somewhere in between. Anthony Joshua, I don't keep up with all his views, but I do remember that when he fought Charles Martin, that was his first pay-per-view. And I think I heard he had gotten like 300,000 buys or something like that. Over 300,000. It might have been 500,000. I don't remember which one it was, but let's just go with 300,000 just to be safe. Over 300,000 buys for the first pay-per-view that he was ever in. That's not bad. Now let's go ahead and look at Wilder. Wilder's never been on pay-per-view. In fact, a lot of times when he fights on Showtime, Showtime will make it to where you don't have to have a subscription to Showtime in order to see the Wilder fight. That kind of tells you something about Wilder's worth. Or how I should say how the people value Wilder. Wilder has a hard time getting 14,000 people in a stadium here in the States. Anthony Joshua has been able to fill out an 80,000, an arena with 80,000 people. So given all these facts, I mean, we obviously can see who the A side is. And being that Anthony Joshua is the one who's actually put up the numbers, I think his side would know a little bit more of what the fight would be worth. Now, yes, they can lie about that. But given the fact that Klitschko was somewhere between 50 to 70 million, like I said, I think it's somewhere in between. I definitely don't think it was 70 million. The only thing that makes this fight as big, or maybe even a little bit bigger, is the fact that it's for Undisputed. It's not Wilder's name. Because if here in the States, Wilder is having a hard time getting 14,000 asses into seats, and Showtime is willing to compromise their business model to get the man more exposure, he's not the A side. He's not bringing in the money. And I think that it is a publicity stunt with this whole 50 million. I think he's going off of what Anthony Joshua said about, well, if it's a $100 million fight, offer me 50 million, I'll take it. And you got what you want, the 50-50. But I think, I don't believe it, because why would you give a take it or leave it 24 hours and supposedly this is, you want to make the fight later in 2018? That don't make no sense. And we know this because Shelly Finkel herself said that those were the terms of accepting the offer. Is that it was 50 million and that it had to be done within 24 hours of the offer being made. She has no reason to lie about that. To me, it's not a good look. So, yeah, it doesn't seem to me like this is a real offer. Now, I will say this. If it does turn out that it's a real offer and Shelly Finkel and them are just terrible business people who don't know how to do negotiations, then I would say, despite the amateur-ish tactics of the opposing side, he should go ahead and sign the contract. Because he did say that if that's the case, offer 50 million, I'll take the fight. So I'm trying to be objective here. I'm not going to let the fact that I'm a Anthony Joshua fan get in the way. But like I said, that's if this is a legitimate offer. If it's not, if it's just some BS and it's not in a contract, you can't say that Anthony Joshua is ducking Deontay Wilder. Anthony Joshua has a real resume. Now, is it the best resume in history? No. Is he an all-time great at this time? I would say no, but I think he's very well on his way. He's on the road. Especially if he keeps doing what he's doing. Deontay Wilder? No. If he keeps doing what he's doing, he'll just be known as one of the top heavyweights of this era and nothing more. But anyways, talking about subscribers, anybody watching my videos, or if you just so happen to stumble upon this video, hope you have a wonderful and blessed day. Peace.
Undefeated.